Greetings, I am 𝗂𝗗𝗶𝗀𝗲, metaphysical master in a millennial age, and it is my life's purpose to guide you and organizations along an enlightened path. So I invite you to sit comfortably and tune in as I welcome you to the Meta Business Millennial, where we get the real conversations you won't get in the boardroom so that we understand this is exactly the path we need to be on in order to grow, evolve, and thrive. You guys can hear me okay? Greetings, I am 𝗂𝗗𝗶𝗀𝗲, and welcome to today's live episode of the Meta Business Millennial podcast. We are live across all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and I'm just so happy to be with you all today. I see that people are already joining in the room, and I hope that you can hear me good and you can see me good. And I'm just going to be paying attention to the chat. So certainly if you have comments, questions, tune in and drop a comment and and make sure that I see and hear from you, because I want to make sure that, we get all of your questions answered, your comments addressed, especially as it relates to today's episode, because it's a very, I would say, like, back to basics episode around what meta business is. And I know I've really talked a lot about being a Black woman and what it's like in relationships and love and all these great things. But at the end of the day, all of it is meant to serve our purpose. And for so many of us, our purpose lies in the work that we do and the mark that we leave on the world. And the work that I do with Black women entrepreneurs specifically is centered around this. It's really about helping women who have businesses not only manage their businesses, manage their lives, manage their families, and manage, themselves, their energy in perfect harmony and perfect balance. And although perfection can be a trigger for many of us, including myself, because I'm a healed perfectionist, put it that way. We really want to make sure that we are, moving in a space of love, of honor, for ourselves, period. And we don't want to be punishing ourselves in the process, hurting ourselves in the process, harming ourselves in the process, because this is about us and making sure we bring the best to our lives. And I titled this episode, "The 7-Figure Business Only You Can Offer the World." And the reason why I titled it that is because a lot of the work that I do is really centered around building empires, building million, billion, $1 trillion empires. And, we have to start with 7 figures first before we get to the 9, 10, 11. And, and in order to do that, we want to make sure it's coming from a place that we can sustain it. And so often we've seen, and I've talked about it in previous episodes before a lot, around seeing these billionaires, seeing these really wealthy people having unsustainable living practices, are harming people in the process, i.e. Diddy, and are not actually doing it in alignment with God. Point blank, period. And all that we want to do in this world, particularly if you're following my work, listening in on this podcast, is in alignment with truth and with God, period. And so for me, in my personal experience, in my known experience, when I align myself with God, when I align myself to my highest self, when I'm doing that which feels, to my core to be true and honest and authentic to myself, then I know I'm a win. I'm going to always win with that belief. And so, essentially, we want to talk about getting out of our own way, letting go of the doubt, letting go of the fears. This is something that I am clearing as we speak, so that we can trust ourselves to be the best that we can, whether it's showing up in social media, showing up as the owners, CEOs of our companies, showing up as a leaders, spiritual leaders, physical leaders in our family. And we want to be able to do that well and perfectly. So essentially, the gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't skill, it's self belief. And I'm going to repeat that. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't your skill, it's your belief system. Okay? So we want to make sure that we tap into what are we actually thinking about ourselves? What are we actually thinking about the work that we do? What are we actually thinking about the life that we live, the life that we come from? And this is something that I just really want to speak to my own personal experience about this because I've really had to shift my belief systems night and day to get to where I am right now, living in Austin, living in this beautiful home, leading my family as a single mother, as a single caregiver, having friends, having a social life, and, dating and falling in love and doing all these great things. It required a dramatic belief system change. And I have to tell y'all where I came from. And it was certainly a poverty mindset, a victim mindset. And I know that in order to be a successful entrepreneur, the gap between success and failure is what you think about yourself. How you think about yourself. How do you think about your abilities, your confidence, how you show up? And so much of it is conditioned by how we were raised. And for me, I certainly was raised in a family where you go get your education, you go get your degrees, you go get more degrees, you go get more degrees. And there really wasn't a focus on how you feel. What's your confidence like? How do you show up in front of other people? And luckily, I was participating in activities like pageants and leadership roles and things like that, where I was able to really stand up for myself and practice being a leader and being confident and walking with poise and eating properly and all those things. But certainly, I was not necessarily taught to be a boss, to be a CEO, to be a leader, to be honest. And in my belief system, I was very punishing of myself. And I know that so many of us are very self-conscious, very insecure. And so many of my friends and people that I grew up with are like, damn, Erin, like you always look like you had it together. You always seem like you had it together. But really, it was like a fake it till you make it type of energy. So I was faking it. I really wasn't embodying that confidence. I was able to look like I had it together, dress really nicely, walk really nicely, speak very eloquently, very articulately, but how I felt inside did not match that. It did not match that. And so I know that there are so many people out there, even grown ass people, who are doing this. And it is killing us, actually, when so many people are like, oh, I'm tired. I'm just tired. I can't do it anymore. It's because of this fake it till you make it type of energy. Fake it till you make it belief system. And what we want to shift to is being able to understand, okay, this is where I am. I love myself where I am. I don't feel like showing up, happy and go lucky, and you don't have to. Yet at the same time, you want to be able to speak that over yourself. And I've talked about this so many times before, and I know it's probably all over the internet, with people talking about like affirmations and speaking positive words. There is so much power in our tongue. There is so much power in our thought system that we have to be able to train it. And that's really the benefit. I just came out of this 40-day fast. I didn't even acknowledge that, y'all. I had a podcast episode about my 40-day fast at the beginning of Lent, and Easter, as y'all know, was this past Sunday. And so 420. And so so on 420, I still didn't drink any alcohol. Complete honesty, I smoked my last bit of weed, and I'm done with that too. And so it's just like now I have this clear mind, this clear vessel, and it really is enabling me to be able to call forth those big ideas, those that were blocked before by a cloudy, dirty, shitty belief system. And what we don't want to do is stay in that place. So we have to begin to challenge our thoughts, challenge our beliefs. And this actually started for me very intentionally when I was on my Tai Chi journey, because that was when I started to practice it. I have to say I learned a lot about it when I was studying with Dr. 𝗲𝗶𝗀𝗲 in the University of Communication Sciences. And I showed this before in a podcast where we had our beliefs, our thoughts, and our perceptions, excuse me, our beliefs, our perceptions, and our sort of our programming that shape our thoughts. And when we have our beliefs, our experiences, our perceptions in shaping our thoughts, then we really want to start to question those beliefs, question those experiences, question those perceptions in order to shift the frequency, the consciousness of our thoughts. And so when you're looking at your belief systems, and I'm going to come always back to this because we Black women, our belief system around our Blackness, essentially. Our belief system about being minority. Our belief system about having no access to capital as entrepreneurs. We don't have access to capital. We don't have access to resources. We're underfunded. We're under-resourced. We're understaffed. These are belief systems that are coming from likely experiences that we continue to perpetuate in our perceptions that then form our future thoughts, our current thoughts. And so what we want to do then is start to shift our beliefs. Okay, maybe I do have the ability to earn a lot of money. So this is like a radical shift to be able to go from, okay, a poverty mind to an abundant mind. There is an unlimited amount of resources available to me. Maybe not from white men venture capitalists. Okay. However, no shade to them, no shade to white men venture capitalists. They invest in what they want to invest in and do what they want to do because it is their life, of course. But then as Black women entrepreneurs, how do I find the resources that I need to get to the next level? Okay? I'm not talking about being a unicorn overnight. This is no longer, in my view, a sustainable, it has never been a sustainable path to get $100 million in funding and build a successful company. That just, I mean, we see it in the news, but in reality, what really makes these companies successful? That they got $100 million and still aren't profitable, aren't able to put out any products that are useful, i.e. Facebook, losing billions of dollars on their metaverse. So we really want to start looking at what is it that we believe truly? What is true? What is not true? And when we start to look at our belief systems, and for me, that really started to shift when I started to move into this abundant mindset. Okay, I may not get funding. I'm not going to be pitching for these guys. I did it with my hair product company. I'm not going to lie. I did the pitch competitions. I went out to all these accelerators. I met with investors, and no one was even remotely interested in giving me a dime for my hair products. And that's totally cool because I made a way. I made a way. God made a way. Let's be more specific. God made a way. I had a full product line. We launched in Macy's. And let me take that back. I did win the pitch competition at the New Orleans Essence Festival, but I'm talking more specifically about traditional investors, i.e. like the white men venture capitalists, okay? But when I went, but that journey really taught me a lot about self-development, self-belief. Actually, this is really where my spiritual journey started to accelerate. It was also around the time that I lost my dad, also around the time that my mom was going through her mental health challenges. And I really started to see that the difference between my success wasn't actually the amount of money or resources that I could get. It was the amount of energy that I could sustain and give to my business, and then also my beliefs about myself and my business. And the more I was able to speak life over myself, I am supported, I have all that I need, I have all the resources that I need, the more started to flow to me. Of course, it was like a trickle, you know, I'm saying a drizzle, and we have to be grateful for that. You know, and it's interesting because I'm in this massive, upgrading moment right now, and I still feel like it's just a trickle. But God gives you what you need, not what you want. Okay? You can call forth all the millions, all the billions. I listen to Esther Hicks. I listen to all the manifestation gurus. Call it forth. Don't be ashamed. But just know that which you need will be right there when you need it. And that's really the shift in the belief system that really has taken me and from I would say like a place of a victim poverty mindset to now, a seven figure business owner, manager, in growing and having that abundant mindset, that creator mind, that I can take these really challenging situations. Like I have a lot of shit going on all the time. And being able to take these challenging situations, learn from them, heal from them because they gonna hurt, and grow from them, evolve from them, so I never have to experience that again. And, I really hope that this is starting to resonate with you guys. And if it is, please drop me a comment, shoot me a note. I really want to know how this is starting to resonate with you guys because I'm really speaking from my heart. I'm speaking my truth here in how to go about this business game, if you will. And it's less about the business, it's less about the leads, it's less about all the tactical, strategic things, which are still very important, and more about your beingness, your beliefs, your thoughts, your perceptions, your experiences. These are all the things that I've been speaking to. And so, then the next piece, so the first one was, of course, around, getting out of your own way, understanding that gap, and understanding that your beliefs are really, really important. And then this next piece is around focusing on you. You outcompete by being true to yourself. And let me just explain what that means because whew, we live in a society where the comparison and the competition between each other is so fierce, okay? And what you want to be asking the world is what can you offer? What you want to be asking yourself, rather, is what can you offer the world that nobody else can't? What can you offer this world that nobody else can? And that takes work. That takes self reflection. That takes self knowing. That takes self discovery. Day by day, by day, by minute, by hour, by second. What can you offer this world that nobody else can't? This is something that I wish we had like as grown up with as kids because we're really given like a subset of options of career paths. Like you could be a doctor, a lawyer, a fireman, a police officer, a nurse. It's like five things. Maybe an engineer, some other stuff. But what actually can you do that's unique to you for this world? How often do you think about that? Hardly ever, right? Like especially growing up. But I did know what I was passionate about. I loved being creative. I loved fashion. I loved beauty. I loved celebrity. I loved fame. I love that culture. So how do I package all of those things in a way that's unique to me? In a way that speaks to me. Okay? And so I really want to get into sort of my own personal experience about this. Thank you. Hi guys. Thank y'all for coming into the room because this is really a powerful, I believe, section of the conversation around how to focus on yourself and how to see how being yourself, being true to yourself, being authentic to yourself is your greatest asset, is your unique value proposition, which we'll get into more in today's podcast. And for me, like I mentioned before, I knew what I was passionate about. I knew what I loved. And so as I continue to just follow that trail, and I'll just go ahead and tell y'all my life story in that way. I went to New York. I worked in fashion for several years. I did styling, I did e-commerce, I did merchandising. I worked for magazines, big department stores, small boutique stores. Y'all know the New York grind is a grind. And it was, very I would just say it was transformational. in that I had my big hair scandal where my hair curly was inappropriate for the work environment. So I got identity challenges. I got sort of like race challenges, like understanding like what is this complex, structure of racism issues, in society, in corporate America, in our system. So that was really, an experience. Like, why did that have to happen to me? And it was like, so essentially, what I'm saying is we have these goals and these passions, and then we have these unique challenges and experiences that we go through that then start to shape what we do and how we show up. Because I ended up going to Harvard after these few years in New York, mainly because, and I have to tell you all the truth, I was inspired by all the people in New York who only cared about Ivy Leaguers. And I wanted to be an important, cared about individual. So I went to an Ivy League school. That's what I thought was necessary to have clout and respect and money, essentially. And so that's what I did for 3 years. I went to Harvard Business School and Harvard Kennedy School. And it was there too that I learned how to speak and share my story. And I actually, for the first time, talked about my childhood and losing my sister to murder and my father being in prison and my mom, attempting suicide back then and feeling alone. I had never talked about these things before I got to Harvard in my late 20s. And I actually did a speech about it. So I learned how to be a leader in that sense and speak my truth and be more authentic. So by the time I graduated from Harvard, I ended up having a couple years in Detroit in my fellowship, and then launching my business around my hair experience in New York and growing my hair natural and wanting to have natural hair products and being able to craft this beautiful story about my life and my challenges. And that was unique for me. Being able to storytell and share my personal life experiences and my unique life experiences. And so when you start to focus on yourself and release the shame around the experiences you've had for yourself, then those actually become your superpowers, your unique value proposition, because no one has had the experience just as you've had it. Yes, other people have experienced discrimination, but how did it shape them? It was likely a completely different industry than most people. So you really want to start looking at what's happening in your life, what has happened in your life that's so different from anyone else around you to get you where you are today. Because as much as we like to think that and I've talked about this on previous podcasts, that we have free will and we're bumping around just doing our own thing, there is a master plan. God certainly is taking us on a journey, and we're co-creating and weaving this beautiful life together. So as you start to recognize all of the connecting points and the dots, you're like, okay, wow, like this can really help to inform this aspect of my life, and this helped to inform this aspect of my life and help to shape where I am today. And the more you start to put those puzzle pieces together, then you're like, wow, this is what I want to do. This is who I am. This is how I show up. And the more we have that clarity, and thank you for that affirmation, yes, the more we have that clarity around what our experiences are and how they shape us, then the more we can be in our truth and be in our authenticity and be in ourselves. Because so often we're kind of going with the flow and going with what everybody else tell us to do and what our mama told us to do and what our mentor and this person and that person, and we're really not tuning in to our own inner compass. And that's where the gold lies, if you will. And so, if any of you other people are feeling this or have experiences, certainly comment, let me know how this is resonating with you. Because, this is a really powerful point as well. Is like, how do you focus on yourself and determine the unique value that you bring the world that nobody else can? And so continuing with my story, after I did my hair products and kind of went through my journey with my family and coming back home and becoming a mom, and then as I talked on a previous podcast episode, many times going through all the challenges with, Harlow's illness and co-parenting and the drama of the court system and where it's gotten me today, then it's like, okay, wow, Aaron, you have a unique opportunity to leverage this incredible brain of yours. You got 2 masters from Harvard, 2 degrees from UT. You love academics. You love to teach. And you can teach other people how to navigate, particularly other Black women entrepreneurs, how to navigate being an entrepreneur. Because I've been doing this now for 8 years. And hey, and it's looking pretty good on me. I've been doing this now for 8 years and been having a lot of challenges and problems in the process. I mean, just yesterday, having a lot of challenges and problems. And so when we understand what unique value we bring, for my case, I'm learning how to navigate it, and I'll be continuing to do this and upgrading it, all of these challenges and problems while still managing a business, a real estate portfolio, investment portfolios, a coaching business, a teaching business, a spiritual business, a spiritual practice. Managing all of these different things for my career, for my well-being, a physical, like not my physical training. I forgot about that. I do physical training now. My healing, have to manage all of these different things. My content creation, wow, okay, and still have my peace and my calm and my harmony. That's unique as fuck, Aaron. You gotta show people how to do that. How you do all this stuff out here and you're still smiling and you look healthy and happy and beautiful, and your child is healthy and happy and beautiful, and your mom is healthy and happy and beautiful despite her illness and her age. You got to teach people how to do this. So I am. That's unique as fuck. So this is why I'm here encouraging and inspiring you to find your unique gift, to find your unique value proposition. What is it that you have going on in your life that nobody else out here is doing? And it takes years to cultivate that, of course. Like, I didn't just pop up and do this yesterday. Like, I've been doing this now for at least this spiritual meta business coaching journey for like 5 years. 5 years now. And so, and here I am still grinding it out, still like, you know, yeah, someone saying like, this is where I am in my life now. I say yes to me now. Yes, I love to hear that. Because for so long, we've put ourselves second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th, because we were taught in many cases that doing for others was better, maybe best. We didn't really even understand and know that we needed to do for ourselves. I actually just saw this on my friend's story today. Like, I think it was Jim Jones or one of the rappers were talking about how he would people had people staying with him when his rent was due, or he would give to people, give food to people when he was hungry. So I'm making up words, but essentially he was always being overly generous and not giving enough to himself. And this does relate to the same topic around this unique value proposition and knowing the unique value you bring the world, because oftentimes we're wanting to perform for other people, not understanding what is unique in our own performance for ourselves. How do we differ from everybody else on the stage? Generally, we're just in sync, moving, when we could be, jiggling and shaking. But we don't even explore that because we've just been wanting to go with everybody else's flow and not with our own. And a lot of people do call that selfish. And we're living in an age now where it's incumbent upon us to have that self reflection, that ishness of self. I'm going to switch it up, that ishness of self, where it's not that we're disregarding others in our walk, but we got to put our own oxygen mask on first so we can breathe if we want to help somebody else breathe. Period. And I hope that resonates with you, sis, because Yes, your time is certainly now, okay? And so, moving into this next piece, of course, we talked about beliefs, which I hope that locked in for you guys because we really have to make sure we shift our belief system and understand that our beliefs, our perceptions, our experiences shape our thoughts and how we move in this world and what we can actually manifest in this world. So the more we're able to believe the best thoughts, the highest thoughts about ourselves, our business, our lives, the better opportunity we have to create a higher experience, upgraded life, upgraded love life, upgraded business. And it takes time. And in that pursuit of reorienting your beliefs, you want to also be able to understand what can I offer the world that nobody else can? What is unique to me that don't nobody else have? And you have to be able to explore that, discover that for yourself. And essentially, this last piece is a critical piece that also is like a plug for me. And what I do is around investing in yourself. Because don't nobody get to the top without help. And this is something too that I was working through earlier today. Just understanding, just even like hiring someone to care for my child or to support me, it feels like asking for somebody. It feels like begging. And when there is a healthy exchange, essentially, of support, compensation, then absolutely it is a clear agreement and a beautiful opportunity for both people to benefit. And this is essentially the age that we're in, is that everybody wins. And by investing in yourself and getting support, so i.e., what I'm saying behind all of this is having a coach, having a mentor that can be accountable to you when you are going through the ups and downs of life, the ups and downs of your business. And I'm probably 100% sure that 100% of top CEOs and top leaders in our world have a mentor and have a whole team, frankly. I mean, look at LeBron. I remember when he came off in the news for having spent $1 million just on his body alone. But look what that man did. Look what he does. He's still 40, plus maybe, out here hooping. You know what I'm saying? Like really still like giving people the business with his son on his team. That's just stellar, I have to say. And so you have to be willing to invest in yourself. I'm not saying you got to invest $1 million. Obviously, if you're trying to get to $1 million, you're not going to be able to necessarily do that. But you're going to have to invest in yourself if you want to see that exponential growth in your beliefs, that exponential growth in your unique value proposition, that exponential growth in your ability to execute on your unique value proposition. Okay? So the most stable investment in an unstable market is you. So the most stable investment in an unstable market is you. And you have to trust that and believe that. We already know what these numbers looking out like out here in the stock market. I mean, I know because I'm actively looking at my investments and seeing what's working, what's not working out here. But by and large, it's not reliable. It's up and down. But you will always go up when you invest in yourself. Ain't never no down market. Ain't never no down time for you. It's always growth. It's always evolution. And that's what you have to believe. And that's what you have to know. I know that to be true for myself. Ain't never been no down market for me. No downtime. Even when I'm low, even when I'm sad, even when I'm going through a challenge, it is always an opportunity for growth. Maybe even exponential growth. So you have to trust that when you do that work, let me go through my own experience. Like I talked already about studying with Dr. Phil Valentine. I was a student at the University of Communication Science for like almost 2 years. I went through at least 3 or 4 of his programs. I did yoga teacher training. I studied Tai Chi for years too. I traveled to Sedona, I traveled to New York to study with Tai Chi masters. I ended up going to Korea to get my own Tai Chi master designation. I would go to my Tai Chi master on a weekly basis, in addition to working with a Reiki healer on a weekly basis, in addition to working with my current mentors, Max and Jasmine, who are my shamans. So I gotta tell you, at this stage, it's way more than a Harvard education that I've invested into my spiritual journey. Way more than 2 masters. Yet, at the end of the day, look what it begets in terms of this beautiful home, this beautiful atmosphere, this safe environment, this safety in my being, this love that I'm attracting into my life. It's priceless almost. Really? Ain't no price to it. So you really have to be aware and knowing that to get to where you want to be, you have to invest in yourself. You have to work with someone like me. You have to work with a coach, whether it's a energetics coach like what I do in terms of working with your energy, working with your light body, your field, your emotional stability, or it's working with whatever stage you're at. If it's working with a therapist, if you're still doing your therapy work. I have friends that do the acupuncture. And I want to read this comment here. She says, my belief system became my practice system. Now I have a practice system based off my spirituality that is an investment in me. Yeah, certainly. So when you start to understand that investment is you, that essentially comes from that spiritual journey. So that makes a lot of sense. As you're walking the spiritual path, you start to understand how valuable you are to you. Not just the world, but how valuable you are to you. And it's part of the reason why I invested in a physical trainer. Like I go run for runs, for walks. Yeah, I know y'all see people talk about they go to the gym every day. Don't look like nothing changed. Okay? But when I invested in a trainer, shout out to Javier, shout out to Sam, my trainers. My body transformed. Shout out to my nutritionist, Dareen, Christina. Like my body transformed when I started to invest in resources to help me on my physical journey. That's just one aspect. And so, because I realized how important my physical body is to my journey. I have a 5-year-old that I have to still pick up and carry. I have a mom who sometimes has wobbly moments or slips and falls, or I have to pick her up, So it's like I still have to function. And as I'm aging gracefully, I want to be able to still have that strength, have that mobility, have the ability to move and be how I want to be. And so I love that you say that too about the practice of an investment in yourself comes from your spirituality. That's super, super important. And I just want to continue to build on that in terms of my own personal experience around coaching. Because like I said, I started with Dr. 𝗜𝘶𝗶𝗲, and the yoga, and then the Tai Chi, and then my synergistic healer, and my acupuncturist, who / Tai Chi master, and then my shamans who I work with today. Investment on investment to get to where I am. To be able to have this level of energy, like I said before, to sustain my challenges, my problems, my happy times, and being able to sleep peacefully. Being able to walk through my day, eat my food peacefully. Ooh, I can't tell y'all how valuable that is. And so, and be able to grow my business. Most importantly, because what is this about? What's the name of this? The 7-figure business only you can offer the world. So if you want to be able to have that business, that successful, sustainable business, you have to be able to be successful and sustainable. You can't run your business without you. You know what I'm saying? If it's your business, we need you. And so investing in yourself, investing in someone who can coach you, who's a little bit ahead of you, who can really coach you on how to navigate these problems, navigate your issues, or a lot ahead of you, if you have the resources, certainly, of course, then you want to be able to find those coaches, find those individuals that are able, like myself, who are able to support you along your growth journey. Because your development is directly correlated with your business development, with your quality of life, with your quality of your relationships, with the quality of your love for yourself. So you must be willing to do that for yourself. Give yourself that. And it's not something that's particularly, I would say, common, particularly for Black women. I mean, certainly a lot more of us are going to therapy and, showing up more in church leadership and doing sort of those, the entry level things. And then as we start to accelerate in our lives and our journeys, particularly as executives, as owners, as CEOs, we realize that we need a board. We need a board of directors for our life, essentially. So we need mentors, we need coaches, we need, folks that really pour into us, all that we need to continue to go along this path. And I have to say that I would not be where I am without those individuals that poured into me in my path. Okay? So I don't know how this resonates with you guys, but if you have experiences or maybe even contradictions around it, I really would love to hear from you guys in the comments or shoot me a DM if you're interested in learning more about the investment of coaching or working with me. That would be awesome. Because I really cannot emphasize this enough that the greatest investment that you can make, this is coming from someone who's worked across investment platforms and industries and seen the volatility of these markets and the instability of how these people are running these companies. You are your greatest investment. And the more that you're able to, like I said, understand your unique value proposition, shape and shift your belief systems, the more important it is to continue to pour back into yourself and invest in yourself and your growth and your development so that you can have the best outcomes for your business, the best outcomes for your family, the best outcomes for your relationships. And this is essentially what this enlightenment journey is about, this meta business journey is about, this Black woman journey is about, the beautiful, loving, knowledgeable woman. Let me go ahead and reiterate that because I have not stated that in today's episode. That Black woman journey is, how do I continue to pour into myself, fill my cup so that my overflow spills around all the people around me and supports all the people around me. Like, this should be our daily prayer. God, what do I need for myself to continue to pour into myself so I can explore and give all these things to people around me? And so with that prayer, I also want to give you guys an exercise because I am in my teaching mode today. And this exercise is about specifically uncovering your unique value proposition and essentially unlocking the blueprint that no one else has. Unlocking your blueprint that no one else has, okay? So the first part is really about identifying your natural gifts, identifying your natural advantages and what really just makes you naturally special. And there are 3 questions. So if you don't have it ready, I would suggest that you get a pen or paper or pull out your notes on your phone and write this down. And the first question is, and I would love for you to reflect on these different things too, even as I speak them out. What skills come so easily to you that you're surprised when other people find it difficult? Okay? So this is kind of what makes you unique. So like I said, like I love to tell stories. I love to share my story. Like some people find it really difficult to get up and speak and talk about themselves. So that makes me different. So what skills come easily to you that you're surprised that, wow, this is hard for other people? think about that, write it down, write the question down if you want to think about it more. And then the second question is, what activities energize you rather than drain you? Okay. What activities energize you even when it's challenging? And it's like for me, like activities that energize me so much is just like my fitness. I love to get out and like do the dance, do the yoga, do the movement. So that's really really important and special to me. And so that's why movement, meta movement, such an integral part of my brand, and certainly it's going to be more visible in my content, but it's just unique to me. So what activities do you love that energize you and don't drain you even when they're challenging? So think about that. Write it down, journal about it, make a note. Okay. And then the third question around your natural gifts is, what unique combination of experiences, industries, or perspectives do you bring that few others can? So, for example, how I talked about me working in fashion and working in beauty and fashion and beauty, and that was really unique for me. So, obviously, that's going to be and shape a lot of what I do today. So, think about your own personal experiences, or industries that you worked in, and the perspectives that you got from those various places that few others have done. And this is really important for this first part. And now the second piece is around discovering what's distinct about your approach to your work. And this is important because this helps to really help you see how you can solve problems differently. And the more you can solve problems for other people, the better opportunity you can to be compensated for it, to make money for it, because essentially those are the greatest businesses that solve the biggest problems. So essentially, start to think about what obstacles you've overcome that give you a perspective that others might not have. So what obstacles have you been through that others might not have, or are unique for you? Like for me, I always talk about my journey with my mom having dementia, or losing my dad at the same time as having my mom with dementia. So these are really unique experiences that helped to shape my life like crazy. And so, what events or obstacles might have happened in your life that really helped to shape who you are that a lot of people haven't dealt with? And sort of the second question is going to be, how do your core values shape your approach in ways that differ from industry norms? So for me, like my core values are all centered around aligning to God, aligning to our higher selves. And this is, I don't want to say contrary to industry norms, but it certainly is not a business industry norm to talk about God. Okay? And so I certainly think that that's what is unique for me. So, what do you feel like for you in terms of your core values that shape how you move in this world are very different from what we see out in the industry today? And then this last question is, what do people consistently thank you for or come to you for help with? Like for me, people are always like opening up to me and thanking me for being such a safe space, and like, you're so easy to talk to, Erin. Like, you're so non-judging. Like, this is what I've heard like for so long. So it's like, oh, it makes perfect sense that I could show up and support people in healing and listening to them and helping them sort through their problems because I'm a safe space. And so that was a unique, thing for me, a distinct thing for me. So what do people consistently thank you for or come to you for help with? And really kind of sit with that and think about it, because I think that that's really special to really understand how you help others and how you bring joy to others. Okay. And so this last piece is actually crafting a unique value proposition statement. And so I wanted to be more strategic with this exercise in this way because when you think about like crafting a business proposal or a business pitch, you generally always have to state what makes your business distinct from all businesses in the market. And so essentially, this is an opportunity for you to really do what I've been encouraging and inspiring you to do this whole podcast and thinking about what makes you unique is actually putting pen to paper and writing out that which makes you unique. And what's so great, in tandem with this episode, I also am going to have a worksheet. So if you're listening to the playback, there's certainly going to be a worksheet available to download, a link to it. And for those that are watching me live, just know that a worksheet is coming. So when this podcast posts, if you're not able to write all these questions down or get it down, of course, DM me and I'm happy to send you the worksheet directly. So I just want you guys to feel comfortable with that. Like you don't have to feel stressed out right now with trying to get this done, this exercise done. We will make sure to get you the questions and opportunity to do the work. And so essentially what you want to do is synthesize the answers that you've gotten to these questions in a single unique value proposition statement. And the statement's going to read, I help a specific audience, I help people achieve a specific outcome through my unique ability to your distinct approach because of my unique combination of strengths and experiences. So this is kind of tricky saying it, verbally, but I'm just gonna put in my blank, fill in the blanks, and then you can, take it up yourself and put in your fill in the blanks. So for me, I help Black women achieve a seven-figure business, successful business, through my unique ability to engage with them spiritually, metaphysically, and emotionally because of my unique gifts as a Stargate priestess, a healer, a shaman, and Harvard Business School, Harvard Kennedy School graduate. So I think this is a very great first attempt at my own personal unique value proposition statement. And you essentially would do the same. I help, men, or I help single, I help dogs, or I help, whatever it is, achieve such and such X through my unique ability to serve because of my unique combination of skills, experiences, etc. And so essentially you want to write this down, read over it, test it out. Is this specific enough that someone would know that they need me? Is it distinct enough? Does it actually solve a problem? And remember that your unique value proposition isn't something that you invent, it's something that you uncover from your authentic blueprint, and it already exists within you, okay? So we're not looking for correctness here, we're not looking for perfection here. This is something that comes distinctly from you. So you want to be able to continue to, like I said, shape your beliefs, work on your belief system so that you really can trust in your authenticity when you start to craft that unique value proposition, or that second piece around understanding that I have something that no one else in the world has, and also investing in yourself is that last piece. So when you have your unique value proposition, when you understand that your beliefs are really important, then you want to be able to have someone who can support you and continuing to cultivate and upgrade those beliefs, upgrade those outcomes for yourself, because that essentially is how you're going to get to that seven-figure business that nobody else in the world has. And you can't compete with nobody. Nobody can compete with you. And, in a nutshell, that really kind of concludes today's episode. I really feel really good about it. It was inspiring to really be able to share my own story and hear from you guys. And someone asked me what was the last question. Sis, when you asked me about that question, what was the last question? Just shoot me a DM and I'll be sure to give you the worksheet, and you can be able to have all the questions there. And I'll make sure you get that directly. And so, but at the core, what we really wanted to take from today's episode was understanding our natural gifts in that exercise, our distinctive approach so that we can craft our unique value proposition. And when we are unable to really clearly articulate that and first really clearly understand it and know it in our beingness, embody it, then we're able to better and more clearly articulate it. And that comes with time and that comes with a knowing. So certainly reach out to me, DM me at I am Aaron Patton across social media. And I'm happy to get you these worksheets so that you guys can continue to work on your unique value proposition and the gifts that you offer the world so that, you, like I said, you can get to that 7-figure business that can't nobody else compete with. Because this is what you came here to do. I firmly believe that the beautiful, loving, knowledgeable woman, the Black woman, as I've redefined her, and this community is destined for greatness. Like, we didn't come here to settle. We didn't come here to fail. We came here to succeed. We came here to love. We came here to be in our power. In order to do that, we have to be able to do the work on ourselves and understand that all that we do is always in alignment with the one and only Most High God. And I thank you all so much for tuning in. Continue to stay tuned to the Meta Business Millennial Podcast. Y'all can head to my website, aaronpatton.com, for more resources. And until the next episode, much love and light. Peace, y'all. Did you really love this episode of the Meta Business Millennial Podcast? Well, I am honored, and I appreciate you subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends, because your feedback allows us to co-create more enlightened conversations. And if you're interested in growing your soul now, head over to my website, aaronpatton.com, to find all the show notes, links, and free resources to get your energy activated today. In the meantime, stay bright, my friends. Much love and light. Peace.